If you have ever written a query and thought, why is this not working after group by? This video will fix that confusion once and for all. Most learners understand where quickly. It filters rows, simple and clean. But once group by enters the query, suddenly the logic changes. Errors appear, results look strange. This is where confusion starts. In this video, we will start the real difference between where and having. By the end, you will know exactly when to use each one and why the database behaves this way. If you work with the sales reports, expenses, client data, or inventory totals, you are already using aggregation, even if you don't realize it. Business dashboards, accounting summaries, and finance projects all depend on it. The SQL group by concept is the backbone of business reporting because it's what turns raw data into useful totals and insights. And when you understand the difference between where and having, your queries become more accurate, your reports more reliable, and your decisions more data driven. Group by doesn't filter rows. Group by takes many individual rows and combines them into categories so you can see summaries instead of raw data. It groups records based on a column like department and then works with functions such as sum, count, average, max or min to calculate totals or averages for each group. So instead of showing every single sale, it shows something like total sales per department. It's important to remember that group by doesn't filter rows, it just organizes them into groups. And after grouping, the database treats those grouped results differently. This is what makes having important. The where class filters raw data before any grouping happens. It works on individual rows and runs before group by, which means it decides what data even gets included in the grouping stage. For example, if you write where city is Lahore, the database first removes all other cities and only the remaining rows are grouped. You can think of where as a gatekeeper. It shapes the data set before any totals, counts, or averages are calculated. Having is different. Having class filtered grouped results, not individual rows. It runs after group by, which means it works with aggregated values like totals, averages, or counts. So the process becomes rows are grouped first and then having decides which groups to keep. For example, if you want to show only departments where total sales exceed a certain amount, you must use having because totals only exist after the data has been grouped. The difference is simple when you see it side by side, where works on individual rows while having works on grouped results. If your condition uses aggregated functions like sum, count, or average, you should use having. But if your condition checks normal column values, then where is the right choice? Imagine a sales table where each row represents a transaction and your goal is to find departments with total sales above $50,000. First, where filters individual transactions. For example, where region is east keeps only sales from east. Then, group by combines those rows by department and calculates totals like a sum of sales for each group. Finally, having filters the grouped results such as having sum of sales greater than 50,000 to show only departments that meet the target. In short, where filters rows before grouping and having filters groups after aggregation. I hope this helped. This explanation has clarified the concept. Account mistake is trying to filter aggregated values with where, like where sum of amount is greater than 50,000. This is causes an error because sum hasn't been calculated yet when where runs. Once you understand the execution order, rows filtered first with where then grouped, then aggregated, then filtered with having. This confusion disappears. SQL follows a clear execution order from where, group by, having, select. First the data is pulled from tables, then where filters individual rows. Next group by organizes rows into groups, having filters those groups, and finally select chooses what to show. Understanding this sequence helps you write queries logically, not just syntactically, and prevents mistakes with where and having. Quick challenge. You want to find customers from Karachi who have made more than 10 purchases. Which SQL class handles each condition, where or having? The answer is provided on the next slide and also in the video description. Let's see. City is Karachi is a row level condition, so it goes in where. Total purchase greater than 10 is an aggregated value per customer, so it goes in having. Row filters first with where, then grouping happens, then having filters the groups. Simple logic, big impact on accuracy. City filtering is low level, so where handles that. Total purchases are aggregated, so having filters that. Combining both correctly produces accurate results. This layered approach is what makes business reporting reliable. Skill checklist. Know how to filter rows with where. Understand grouping by with group by. Use aggregated functions, sum, count, average, and so on. Apply the correct execution order from where, group by, having, select. If you can confidently distinguish row level and group level conditions, you have mastered this concept. This clarity helps with building dashboards, summary reports, and analytics queries without confusion. Practical takeaways. Use where for filtering raw data. Use having for filtering summaries. Focus on what exists at each step. Row first, rows first, then groups. This mindset cuts trial and error and makes your database queries more logical and reliable. Now that you understand where in having, the next step is joins and then combining group by with join for more realistic reporting scenarios. Now that you have mastered where and having, practice with real datasets, this builds a strong foundation for advanced database work and makes your reports accurate and reliable. Thank you very much.